Most people are still thinking about AI like it is a box on a website. You open the box, you type something, it writes an email, fixes a sentence, makes a picture, summarizes a PDF, maybe gives you a recipe that somehow includes both chickpeas and confidence. That is the version most people can understand. And honestly, that version is already strange enough. But it is not the real story anymore. The real story is that the box is starting to leak into everything around it. The browser, the code editor, the phone, the office suite, the cloud, the security team, the scammer's laptop, the company workflow. Every few months, the floor moves again, and most people treat it like another app update. That is the part that bothers me. Not because every announcement is magic, not because every demo deserves a choir and a fog machine. The issue is simpler than that. People are underestimating the pattern. Anthropic just made its Mythos class capabilities more available through Claude Fable 5, while keeping the full Claude Mythos 5 restricted to vetted partners for areas like cybersecurity and biology. OpenAI's latest official major model, GPT 5.5, is built less like a chatbot novelty and more like a tool-using worker for complex tasks. Google is pushing Gemini deeper into an agentic era across products: search, creation, and daily tools. You can argue about which model is better this week. People will. They will make charts, they will yell in comment sections. But the model leaderboard is not the point. The point is that all of this is becoming more capable, more connected, more autonomous, and more normal. And if you wait until AI obviously changes your life, you are probably already late. Chapter 1. The model is not the story. The easiest way to make AI boring is to talk about it like a sports score. This model beat that model. This benchmark moved 3 points. This one is better at code. That one is better at math. Useful, sometimes, but if you are trying to understand what is actually happening, the scoreboard can hide the meaning. Take Anthropic's latest release. The headline version is simple. Claude Fable 5 is out, and Claude Mythos 5 exists. But the interesting part is not just that a new Claude model arrived. The interesting part is the shape of the release. Anthropic describes Claude Mythos 5 as its most capable model for cybersecurity and biology research, but it is not generally available. It is limited to a small set of vetted partners through trusted access programs. Fable 5 is the broader release. Anthropic says it is the same underlying model as Mythos 5, but with stronger safeguards in the risky areas. That is a very modern sentence. The same underlying model, but different access. The same intelligence class, but different permissions. The same engine, but with guardrails that change what kinds of capability the public actually receives. That is not just a product decision. That is a sign of where the frontier is going. The important question is no longer only how smart is the model, it is who gets the full version? What can it do with tools? What domains are restricted? What gets routed somewhere else? What does the model know how to attempt but not allow? Anthropic's Project Glasswing is a good example. The company says Mythos Preview has been used to find thousands of high or critical severity vulnerabilities in important open source software. That is not the same as a chatbot writing a poem about a toaster. That is AI touching the security layer of the internet. Maybe defensively, maybe usefully, maybe under careful controls. But still, the point is obvious. When models get better at finding vulnerabilities, biology workflows, coding, planning, and tool use, the impact leaves the chat window. This is not just another model. It is another sign that the category is maturing. Capability is arriving in layers, some public, some gated, some hidden behind enterprise contracts, some built into consumer apps so quietly that people will use it before they understand what changed. The model is not the story. The distribution of power is the story.
Chapter 2. The pattern is the story.
The pattern is not that one company releases a model and everyone else politely claps. The pattern is escalation. One lab pushes the frontier, another responds. Someone ships a cheaper version. Someone ships a faster version. Someone ships a tool-using version. Someone ships a safer public version while keeping the stronger domain-specific version behind trusted access. Then the whole thing repeats, only now the baseline has moved. This is why it is easy to be both exhausted by AI news and still behind on AI reality. The news cycle is noisy. The capability curve is quieter. But the capability curve is the one that matters. OpenAI's GPT 5.5 is a good marker here. OpenAI describes it as a model for complex, real-world work, writing code, researching online, analyzing information, creating documents and spreadsheets, and moving across tools to get things done. That phrase matters, moving across tools. Because the future people keep calling AI is not just a smarter answer machine. It is a layer that can increasingly observe, decide, click, write, compare, remember, call APIs, use files, and keep working through a task. Not perfectly, not safely in every situation, not without supervision, but better than last year, and often much better than people expect if their mental model is still autocomplete with a subscription. Google is pushing the same direction from a different angle. Its latest public AI messaging around Gemini 3.5, Gemini Omni, and the agentic era is about AI being woven through products and workflows, not sitting off to the side as a toy. Different companies, different incentives, same direction. AI is moving from answer to action, from chatbot to agent, from text box to workflow, from novelty to infrastructure. And when a technology moves into infrastructure, most people stop noticing it right before it matters most. The pattern is not one model. The pattern is integration. And integration is how a technology goes from interesting to unavoidable.
Chapter 3. This leaves the screen. The mistake is thinking this stays online. Like AI is just something that happens in a browser tab, next to your email and 17 tabs you swear you are going to read later. It does not stay there. It changes incentives. It changes crime. It changes hiring. It changes education. It changes what counts as a basic skill. It changes what a small team can do. It changes what a scammer can do at 2 in the morning with a laptop, a stolen contact list, and no moral burden slowing them down. That last part matters more than people want to admit. When AI gets better at writing, voice, images, coding, research, and tool use, it does not only help nice people make better slide decks, it helps everyone. The honest users, the lazy users, the broke startup, the giant company, the teenager learning to code, the cyber defender, the cyber attacker, the fake recruiter, the fraud ring, the person who used to send the world's least convincing phishing email and now has a tireless assistant that can localize, personalize, rewrite, test, and scale the lie. That is not science fiction. That is the normal path of powerful tools. They reduce friction, and reduced friction does not ask whether the task is good. So the first practical problem most people will meet is trust. Can you trust the email? Can you trust the voice note? Can you trust the job listing? Can you trust the screenshot? Can you trust the caller who sounds like someone you know? Can you trust the work someone submits when they had a model helping them? That is where the future arrives first. Not as a robot walking through the front door, as 1,000 small moments where reality gets a little easier to fake and work gets a little easier to automate. But AI also raises the ceiling for individuals. A curious person can learn faster. A solo creator can make more. A small business can automate pieces that used to require staff, agencies, or software glue. A programmer can build prototypes that would have taken weeks. That is why panic is too simple. Hype is too simple too. AI is a multiplier. It multiplies competence. It multiplies laziness. It multiplies creativity. It multiplies scams. It multiplies speed. And the people who understand that early get a different relationship to the future than the people who wait until the change becomes obvious.
Chapter 4: How to Not Be Late. So what do you actually do with this? Because the internet has enough people telling you to be terrified. It also has enough people telling you everything is fine because their business model depends on you feeling fine. I do not think the answer is panic. I also do not think the answer is pretending this is just a fancy calculator with vibes. The answer is to get harder to surprise. That is the useful version of being prepared. Not bunker prepared, future prepared. Not turning your whole personality into a spreadsheet with anxiety. Just paying attention early enough that you still have choices. First, update your mental model. AI is not only a chatbot. It is becoming a general-purpose interface for work across tools. If your view of AI is still, it writes essays, you are watching the wrong layer. Watch what it can do with files, browsers, spreadsheets, code, calendars, images, audio, and workflows. Second, learn by using it. Not watching people use it, using it. Try to automate something small. Try to research something complicated. Try to compare documents. Try to make a rough app. Try to catch it being wrong. That last one is important. The goal is not to become impressed. The goal is to become calibrated. You want to know where it is strong, where it lies with perfect posture, where it saves you time, and where it quietly hands you a problem wearing a nice suit. Third, build verification habits. If AI makes people faster, the people who know how to check work become more valuable, not less. Source checking, math checking, security habits, reading the actual document, knowing when something matters enough to verify manually. That is not old-fashioned. That is survival in a high-output world. Fourth, protect your trust surface. Assume scams get better. Assume voices get easier to fake. Assume emails get more personalized. Assume fake job offers get more convincing. Do not treat urgency as evidence. Do not authorize logins you did not start. Teach the people around you that it sounded real is no longer enough. And fifth, keep your taste. As AI makes production easier, taste becomes more important. Knowing what is worth making, knowing what feels human, knowing what is derivative, knowing when the output is technically fine but spiritually empty. The future is not just who can generate the most. It is who can decide what should exist. That is why I do not want to reduce this channel to doom. The point is not to be afraid of every release. The point is to notice the shape of the wave. The next model is not the future. The pattern is the future, and the pattern is already here.
If you zoom out, the last few AI releases do not look like random news items. They look like the same message repeated from different directions. AI is becoming more capable, more connected, more gated in sensitive domains, more embedded in everyday tools, more useful for people who know how to steer it, more dangerous for people who assume every message, voice, image, or workflow is still playing by the old rules. That is why another model came out is the wrong reaction. The better reaction is, what does this make possible now? Who gets access? What changes when this becomes normal? What skill gets more valuable because of it? What assumption just got weaker? That is not panic. That is orientation. And orientation matters when the ground is moving. Most people are still asking whether AI is useful. The better question is whether you are ready for a world where it already is. So no, this is not really a video about Mythos 5. It is not really about Fable 5, GPT 5.5, Gemini, or whatever model gets announced next. It is about the pattern underneath them. The tools are becoming agents. The agents are entering workflows. The workflows are entering real life. And the people who see that early are going to move differently. Osiris Perseus is about exploring modern topics from breakthroughs to other foundations of science, tech, and engineering. Subscribe to join the expedition.